Good evening and welcome to While You Drift, where we gently lull you to sleep with history and stories from around the world, while you drift slowly and effortlessly away. Tonight, we're going to embark on a very special journey together, a journey through time, exploring one of humanity's most enduring quests, the quest for coolness. You see, from the very dawn of civilization, long before the gentle hum of an air conditioner, humans have looked for ways to escape the heat. It wasn't just about survival, it was about comfort, about well-being, and, for our purposes tonight, about finding that perfect, serene temperature for a truly restful sleep. Thanks for tuning in. It's a warm evening here, and I can still feel the heat from the day radiating from the stone walls of my cottage. It feels so good to be inside now, with a cool drink, ready to settle in with you. Let's start with some gentle relaxation. Get yourself into a comfortable position and prepare your body for complete comfort. I invite you to close your eyes and breathe in deeply. And at your own pace, when you're ready, breathe out slowly through your mouth, feeling your heartbeat slow. As you take in a few more deep, slow breaths, you settle deeper into comfort as you feel more and more relaxed. Focus on the soft darkness behind your eyelids. Allow your mind to settle and become a sponge, ready to soak in this cooling history while you drift slowly and steadily away. Have you ever tossed and turned on a warm night, longing for a cool breeze? That feeling, that deep desire for comfort, is as old as humanity itself. Our bodies are wonderfully designed, but they really do thrive within a certain temperature range. Scientists tell us that for most people, the ideal temperature for sleep falls somewhere between about 15 and 20 degrees Celsius, or roughly 60 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit. When we're too hot, our sleep can be disrupted, leaving us feeling restless and tired. It's a challenge many of us still face today. So, how did our ancestors manage? How did they find that sweet spot of coolness without the flick of a switch? Their ingenuity, their deep connection to nature, and their clever adaptations offer us not just a fascinating story, but perhaps a few gentle lessons for our own lives. While we drift through the ages, I invite you to simply listen. Let the stories of ancient breezes, cool waters, and clever designs wash over you. There's no need to remember every detail. Just allow the narrative to unfold like a gentle stream flowing towards a peaceful, cool lake. Our journey begins in the cradle of civilization, where the very first cities rose under the scorching sun. Imagine a world thousands of years ago. No electricity, no fans, no ice machines, just the sun, the earth, the wind, and the incredible human mind. The earliest great civilizations, often born in hot, arid lands, became true masters of staying cool. They understood that their homes, their cities, and their daily habits could be their greatest allies against the heat. We begin our exploration through ancient worlds in Mesopotamia, in what is now southern Iraq, around 6,000 years ago. Here, the Sumerians built some of the world's first cities, and they built them smart. Picture their homes, thick walls, often made from mud brick. These weren't just for strength, they were like natural sponges for heat. During the day, these thick walls would slowly absorb the sun's warmth, keeping the inside of the house surprisingly cool. Then, as the sun set and the air grew crisp, the walls would gently release that stored heat, making the nights more comfortable. It's a bit like a slow, steady breath, regulating the temperature all on its own. Their cities themselves were designed for coolness. Buildings were often nestled close together, which meant fewer walls were directly exposed to the harsh sun. And the streets? They were narrow, winding pathways, creating constant pockets of shade that made walking around much more pleasant. Imagine strolling through these shaded lanes, feeling the cool air brush past you, taking with it the heat from your body and leaving you calmly refreshed. Inside their homes, small courtyards were a common feature. These open-air spaces weren't just for light, they were vital for ventilation. During the cool nights, heavy, dense air would settle into these courtyards. Then, as the day warmed up, this reservoir of cool air would be drawn into the surrounding rooms, creating a gentle, natural circulation. And when the Mesopotamian summers became truly sweltering, many would simply move their sleeping arrangements, a practice common across the ancient Near East. They'd head up to their flat rooftops, where the night air was so much cooler than inside the rooms below. Imagine lying under the vast, star-filled sky, feeling a gentle night breeze after a long, hot day. A simple, yet profoundly effective way to find relief. Now, let's journey along the Nile to ancient Egypt, a civilization famous for its monuments, but equally clever in its pursuit of coolness. The Egyptians were masters of harnessing the wind. Their most iconic cooling invention was the mulkaf, or windcatcher. Picture a tall, chimney-like opening on the roof of a building, angled to catch the prevailing winds. These windcatchers would scoop up the cooler, stronger breezes from high above the city and funnel them down into the rooms below, creating a constant, gentle flow of fresh air. Hot, stale air would then be pushed out through other openings. It was a natural air conditioning system, and remarkably, variations of this ancient technology are still used today. For personal comfort, the Egyptians had some truly ingenious methods. Just like in Mesopotamia, many would sleep on their rooftops, but they also used a technique that you can still try today if you're in a dry climate. They would hang wet reeds or mats in their doorways. As the dry desert air passed through these damp surfaces, the water would evaporate, drawing heat from the air and cooling it down, while also adding a welcome touch of humidity. And speaking of simple yet effective, the Egyptian method for sleeping is a perfect example of personal cooling that has stood the test of time. It involves soaking a blanket or a large towel in cool water, wringing it out until it's just damp, and then using it as a light covering. As the night progresses, the water slowly evaporates, drawing heat away from your body and providing a continuous, gentle cooling sensation. By the way, this is a method I use myself. For even more instant relief, try using the Egyptian method in front of a fan. This is by far my favorite way to cool down on a hot night. The ancient Egyptians' clothing was also a direct response to the heat. They wore as little as possible, and what they did wear was almost exclusively linen. Linen, made from the flax plant, is incredibly breathable and light, making it perfect for a hot climate. Most of their clothing was also white, which helped reflect the sun's rays. Our next stop takes us to the Indus Valley, to the ancient city of Mohenjo-daro. This was a civilization seemingly obsessed with the purifying power of water. Imagine a city flourishing nearly 5,000 years ago, where not just the wealthy, but almost every single house, from the grandest to the most modest, had its own indoor bath connected to a sophisticated, covered, citywide sewer system. This was unprecedented in the ancient world and speaks volumes about their dedication to cleanliness and comfort. The centerpiece of the city was the Great Bath of Mohenjo-daro, an enormous public bathhouse. It's believed to have been used for ritual bathing, but it was also a central part of their community life and a wonderful way for everyone to cool off. Imagine the feeling of immersing yourself in cool water on a hot day, surrounded by your community. I guess it's similar to people going to a community pool nowadays. The city also had countless wells, ensuring that everyone had easy access to water. Now, let's travel across the world to the American Southwest, where the ancestral Puebloan people developed their own unique solutions. They understood the sun's path across the sky better than anyone. In places like Mesa Verde, they built entire communities directly into the shelter of south-facing cliffs. This was an act of pure genius. During the hot summer, when the sun was high overhead, the cliff ledge acted like a giant porch roof, casting their homes in deep, cool shade. But in the winter, when the sun was low in the sky, its gentle rays could reach deep into the cliff dwellings, passively warming their stone homes. They didn't fight the environment, they worked with it, creating comfort by simply understanding the rhythm of the seasons. Our final stop in the ancient world brings us to Rome, where cooling was elevated to an art form. Their aqueducts were engineering marvels, bringing vast amounts of fresh water into the cities, often sourced from cool mountain springs prized for their purity and refreshing temperature. This water was crucial for the famous thermae, their public baths. These were incredible places and acted like a hydrating hub for the community. The bathing ritual was a journey through temperatures. You'd move from a warm room, the tepidarium, to a hot steam room, the caldarium, and then, for the final glorious step, you would plunge into the frigidarium, a large, deep pool of cold water. Imagine the invigorating shock of that cool water after a hot day. How refreshing that must have been. For the very wealthy, this mastery of water extended into the home itself. Their courtyards often featured elaborate fountains fed by the aqueducts. The fine mist and evaporation from these water features would have provided a significant cooling effect, creating a personal oasis of comfort, a principle of evaporative cooling we still use today. As we leave the ancient world, take a moment to appreciate the deep wisdom in their designs. The common thread connecting these ancient peoples is a deep respect for the environment. They didn't seek to conquer the heat, but to listen to the rhythms of the sun, wind, and earth, and work in harmony with them. As the ancient empires faded, the quest for coolness continued, adapting to different climates and cultures. This next period saw a refinement of old techniques and the emergence of new ideas that would slowly pave the way for our modern world. We now drift on to medieval and pre-industrial Europe, where people continued to build homes with thick stone walls and high ceilings, allowing hot air to rise while keeping the living spaces below cooler. Basements and cellars, primarily for storing food, also served as wonderful cool retreats during a heat wave. The medieval diet was also influenced by a medical idea called humoral theory. It sounds complicated, but the basic idea was to keep the body in balance. So, on a hot day, they would eat foods they considered cooling, like cucumbers, melons, and fresh berries, to counteract the heat. For most people, a truly cold drink was a rare luxury, but they had simple tricks. They knew that cool water from a deep well was a blessing, and they'd lower bottles of wine or ale into the well to chill them. Another clever trick was to drape a wet cloth over a jug, which would cool the contents through evaporation. Now, let's journey east, where pre-industrial societies developed some of the most beautiful and effective cooling systems ever created. In Persia, now Iran, they perfected the Windcatcher or badgear and combined it with another amazing invention, the canot. A canot is a long underground tunnel that brings cool water from the mountains down to the cities. The real magic happened when they built a Windcatcher tower directly above one of these underground water channels. The tower would draw hot, dry air down, and as that air passed over the cool, running water, it would become wonderfully chilled and humidified before flowing into the house. It was a complete, natural air conditioning system, powered only by the wind and gravity. The towers themselves are really quite beautiful. I would highly recommend doing a quick image search of Persian Windcatchers in the morning to see how magical they look. And what if you wanted to keep something frozen? For that, they built the Yakhchāl. Picture a large cone-shaped building made of thick, insulating mud brick. This was an ancient ice house. Incredibly, the Yakhchāl system was so sophisticated, it could not only store ice, but actually make it in the desert. On clear winter nights, shallow pools of water would rapidly radiate their heat away into the blackness of the sky, allowing the water to freeze solid even when the air temperature was still above zero. This freshly made ice was then harvested and packed into the insulated cone, where it could last all the way through the blistering heat of a desert summer. Further east in China and India, personal cooling of the time was being perfected. Handheld fans made from bamboo, silk, or feathers have been used for thousands of years, and a Chinese inventor named Ding Huan even created a giant room-sized rotary fan back in 180 CE. It had 7 large wheels and was operated by a single person turning a crank, powerful enough to cool an entire hall. In India, alongside personal fans, architects created beautiful and intricate latticed screens called Jaali. As warm air passed through the tiny carved openings, its velocity would increase and its temperature would drop, creating a cool, gentle breeze for those inside. It was both a work of art and a work of physics. For sleep, people in many parts of Asia used woven bed mats made of bamboo or reeds, a practice still used today. These surfaces don't hold body heat like a fabric mattress does, allowing air to circulate underneath you, keeping you much cooler. They even had pillows made of smooth, cool porcelain. Beyond just providing relief from the heat, these beautiful objects were often decorated with poems, landscapes, or symbols of good fortune, turning a simple comfort item into a work of art. This highlights a philosophy of cooling that is both ancient and incredibly modern, the profound efficiency of cooling the person, not the entire space. Our journey now takes a turn. We move from an age of working with nature to an age of trying to master it. We now look at how human ingenuity turned to the challenge of creating cold on command. In the early 1800s, a Boston entrepreneur named Frederick Tudor had a wild idea: to harvest ice from New England's frozen ponds in the winter and sell it to people in hot climates. Everyone thought he was crazy. His first shipment to the Caribbean island of Martinique mostly melted, and he fell deep into debt. But Tudor persisted. He learned that packing the ice in sawdust provided excellent insulation. He also partnered with an inventor named Nathaniel Wyeth, who created a revolutionary horse-drawn ice plow. This device could cut perfect, uniform blocks of ice with incredible speed, transforming a laborious chore into an industrial process and making the global ice trade a reality. Soon, the Ice King, as he became known, was shipping ice all over the world, from the American South to India. This growing industry led to the creation of the home ice box, a wooden cabinet insulated with tin or zinc that could keep food fresh with a large block of ice delivered by the local iceman. At the same time, the first whispers of artificial ice began. In the 1840s, a Florida physician named Dr. John Gorrie was desperate to find a way to cool the air for his patients suffering from yellow fever. Driven by this medical need, he designed and patented a machine in 1851 that could create ice using a compressor. Though he struggled to make it a commercial success, partly due to opposition from the powerful natural ice industry, his invention laid the crucial groundwork for modern refrigeration. The true revolution arrived on July 17, 1902. A young engineer named Willis Haviland Carrier designed the world's first modern electrical air conditioning unit. But his goal wasn't to make people comfortable. He was hired to solve a problem at a printing company in Brooklyn, New York. The high summer humidity was causing the paper to warp, ruining their color prints. Carrier's invention was designed to control humidity for this industrial process. Early air conditioners were far too large and expensive for homes. Instead, they were adopted by industries that needed precise climate control, like textile mills and food processing plants. The public's first real taste of comfort cooling came at the 1904 St. Louis World's Fair. Imagine the wonder of stepping out of the summer heat and into the cool, conditioned air of the Missouri State Building. Having never felt this kind of relief before, it must have felt like magic. But the place that truly brought air conditioning to the public for good was the American movie theater. In the 1920s, these theaters began installing AC systems, advertising their refrigerated air as a major attraction. They became cool havens, and people flocked to them to escape the heat, giving rise to the idea of the summer blockbuster. It's funny how a technology invented for one thing can completely change another. So, While AC was quickly being adopted by movie theatres, its spread to homes was a more gradual process. It wasn't until after World War II that smaller, more affordable window units became widely available. By the early 1970s, about half of all US households had air conditioning, and today that number is close to 90%. The widespread adoption of air conditioning in the 20th century brought an era of indoor comfort unlike anything before. It profoundly reshaped our world. Yet, this comfort has come with consequences, prompting us to look back to the wisdom of the past. Air conditioning changed everything. It changed how we build our homes, often with lower ceilings and sealed windows, because we no longer needed to rely on natural airflow. It enabled the construction of giant glass skyscrapers, and it led to huge population shifts, especially in the United States. The Sunbelt states like Florida, Texas, and Arizona saw their populations multiply as AC made these hot regions comfortably livable year-round. The impact on our daily lives is undeniable. It improves our sleep, boosts productivity at work, and provides a comfortable retreat at home. But it has also subtly changed our social fabric. Before air conditioning, hot summer evenings often saw communities gathering on front porches or in parks to find a collective breeze. Now, as summer heat becomes more intense, the comfort of AC allows us to retreat from the outdoors, but also, perhaps, from each other. It's an interesting thing to reflect on, how a simple convenience can reshape the way we interact with our neighbours. The comfort brought by air conditioning has also come at a significant environmental cost. It's a strange paradox. The solution to heat contributes to the very problem it aims to solve. Air conditioning uses a massive amount of electricity, nearly 20% of the total used in buildings worldwide. This puts a huge strain on energy grids, especially during heat waves, and creates a dangerous feedback loop. The more we use AC, the more greenhouse gases are emitted, which leads to a warmer planet, which in turn increases our need for more AC. According to the International Energy Agency, without a major shift to more efficient technology, global energy demand for cooling is set to more than triple by 2050, consuming as much electricity as all of China and India use today. On top of that, all those AC units pump waste heat directly outside, contributing to what's known as the urban heat island effect. This is where dense cities with all their concrete and tarmac become significantly hotter than the surrounding countryside, making the problem even worse. In response to these challenges, there is a powerful movement that brings our story full circle. We are rediscovering the wisdom of sustainable solutions, often by looking back to the past and blending it with new technology. You might have heard of the passive house movement. Well, modern passive design uses the same principles our ancestors did. Strategic shading with trees and overhangs, good insulation and natural ventilation. We are seeing a return of ideas, like covering a roof with soil and plants to make it a green roof. This provides natural insulation and cools the air through evaporation, just like those wet reeds in ancient Egypt. Alongside this revival of ancient ideas, smart technology is helping us be more efficient. Smart thermostats learn our habits and adjust the temperature automatically. And the future of cooling is exploring exciting new directions. This brings our story back to the quiet wisdom of the porcelain pillow, a renewed focus on cooling people, not spaces. This means developing personal cooling devices like a wearable neck fan or a cooled chair, which are far more efficient than cooling an entire empty room. We've traveled through millennia, from the sun-baked plains of Mesopotamia to the air-conditioned cities of today. The human quest for coolness is a testament to our ingenuity, our adaptability, and our deep desire for comfort. We've seen how ancient civilizations, without modern technology, were masters of passive cooling. They understood the power of wind and water, the wisdom of thoughtful design, and the simple magic of adapting their daily habits. These lessons offer us so much, not just for staying comfortable, but for finding that deep, restorative sleep we all crave. While you drift off, consider these gentle reminders from our journey. Embrace natural airflow. Just like the ancient Egyptians, we can open windows at night to invite cooler air in. A simple fan can help. Placing one fan facing in at one window and another fan facing out at a different window can create a wonderful cross breeze that pulls the cool night air through your home. Revisit water's magic. A cool, damp cloth on your forehead or neck can offer instant relief. The Egyptian method of sleeping under a damp cloth can also be very effective. A bowl of ice water placed in front of a fan can also subtly cool the air through evaporation. Dress for comfort. Choose loose, breathable clothing made from natural fibers like cotton or linen, especially for sleep. During the day, light colors reflect heat, just as our ancestors knew. Listen to your body's rhythm. If possible, try to do your most strenuous activities in the cooler parts of the day. Resting during the peak heat is a practice as old as time. Nourish yourself with cooling foods. Hydration is key. And just like our ancestors, you can enjoy foods that naturally help cool your body, like cucumbers, melons, and fresh fruits. The story of cooling is far from over. It's a continuous cycle of adaptation and rediscovery. The future isn't about one single solution, but about a conscious blend of ancient wisdom and modern technology. As the world continues to warm, the ingenuity of our ancestors provides a powerful blueprint for a more sustainable and comfortable future. While you drift off to sleep, you can carry with you the quiet wisdom of those who came before us, finding solace in the knowledge that the quest for a cool, restful night is a shared human legacy. May your dreams be cool, your rest be deep, and your spirit be refreshed. Good night.